is the youngest of 5 kids, and he says that one of the many reasons he loves storytelling is because he gets to talk with a microphone and people can hear him. That doesn't always happen in a big family. He loves Chicago's storytelling community, and he's told stories at many events in the Chicago area. He's a writer who's written about social issues, people, and communities in Chicago for nonprofits and universities for his whole career. He's also a journalist. Please put your hands together for Dan Barrett!
Thank you. I first want to thank my dad. It's because of my dad that I'm featured on the top of the website that promotes this event. They did it in alphabetical order. I'm very proud of that. When I was 14, I had a choice to make. I could stay up on a school night till 1:30 or 2 in the morning without my parents knowing about that and watch a Marx Brothers movie, or I could get a good night's sleep and be ready for geometry class the next day. I was a diligent student, and the next day in geometry class I found it very relaxing. Fell asleep, and the teacher gently kicked me, and the class had a lot of fun with that. I am obsessed with movies. My dad once said to me, if you keep on watching this many movies, you're going to go blind. It was a risk I had to take. It was kind of like a group of people following the Grateful Dead around the country, the Deadheads. I was a movie head. Movies, not on TV, but in person at a theater, brought people together, let them share a common experience, provided moments that I would remember forever, and maybe most important, was a place I could eat popcorn. And I should say, as an older adult, popcorn has a lot of fiber. I didn't do this alone. I have a group of movie maniacs that I've gone through life with. My brothers, Mike and Rob, my friends, Rich and Mike, my cousin Rich, my uncle Ken, and many others. And what we share is that we spent most of our life in the dark. My family pushed this drug on me, okay? One of the first trips I ever took outside of the family home was to Madison, Wisconsin, where my brother Mike was going to college. Madison is a beautiful place in the summer. Bike trails, lakes, just a fantastic place to go to college. But my brother was a projectionist for a movie film society in Madison. And we spent a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in his living room watching movies against the wall. And the movies were Chinatown and The Cave of Mrs. Miller, 2 great movies that you should all rush to see if you haven't seen them. Then about a year later, my twin brother had serious lung surgery, and afterwards, when he was recovering, my parents made the good decision to send us to New York to visit relatives for a week. People asked me, are you going to see the Empire State Building or Times Square or Broadway? And I said, no, we're going to hang out in my Uncle Ken's attic. My Uncle Ken had a collection of 16mm movies, classics like Casablanca, The Graduate, Citizen Kane. And Rob and I watched 17 movies in 72 hours. But we didn't go blind. When that was over, my cousin Richie picked us up, and we saw 4 more movies in 2 days. On the flight back to Chicago, Rob and I realized we had seen 21 movies in 6 days. And we thought, well, we could have seen 30 if we had been better prepared. Fortunately, I had friends who drank the same Kool-Aid. My friend Mike and I took moviegoing to a whole nother level. We competed against each other as movie critics for the school paper, the least glamorous job in the whole school, and read everything we could about movies, critics like Roger Ebert, Pauline Kael, Vincent Canby, and many others. But we also did something together as our friendship grew that I think everyone here should know how to do, and that is sneak from one movie theater into another. We tried a few strategies. One strategy was kind of evoking silent movies like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton. It was like this. And it worked, but it didn't always work. So we had another strategy, which I think might offend some of the delicate sensibilities in this room, but I gotta share it. We would hide in the bathroom for a half hour, waiting for the next movie to start. It worked. Now, I was younger then. I haven't snuck into a movie since I was 60, so. But we did that. Well, eventually, real life intervened. I met a girl in high school, and I knew as the movie critic for the student paper, I had to pick the right movie for the first date. I had to get this right. I think I made the right decision. I decided that maybe Apocalypse Now isn't the best first date movie. So I chose another movie, which was called Breaking Away. Charming, wonderful, coming-of-age movie. We saw it at the Deer Path Theater in Lake Forest. I knew I had to get her back by midnight, or her father was going to, chase me with a shotgun or something. I'd seen a lot of movies. And the hero in this movie was as awkward as I was. But there's a scene in the movie where he's serenading this girl he has a crush on, and she loves it. And I reach down with my hand, and my date takes my hand. And I'm like, oh, the movies work. This is great. Well, yes and no. We had our first kiss. I was awkward, she was awkward. And when it ended, I looked up and there was no music playing in the background. There was no dissolve into the next scene of a couple making love in a forest. This was real. So what did we do? Well, the next day we went to the movies. She was Catholic, I'm Jewish, but she had seen an advertisement for the movie Fiddler on the Roof playing at the Eaton's Theater in Northbrook. And she said, let's go. It's about thousands of Jews being kicked out of Russia and coming to America. And I knew it was a good movie. You know how I knew? Well, because 4 days earlier I'd snuck into it with my friends Ron, Dave, and Charlie. So it was a couple months later, and we broke up. And the movies do not teach you how to break up. Nobody teaches that. You just got to figure it out on your own. And I felt I had to do something to kind of bounce back, to get past this experience. So what did I do? I went to the movies. What did I see? Well, I went with my twin brother Rob and my buddy Rich to the feel-good movie of 1979, Apocalypse Now. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. So the years pass. My youthful passion for movies didn't fade, but I had a different perspective. Maybe life had taught me a few things. And suddenly, life goes fast. It was 39 years later, Christmas night, and I said to my kids, do you guys want to go to a movie tonight, the Music Box Theater? And I was, on the verge of divorce, so it was kind of a loaded time for the family. And my oldest kid, Noah, says, yeah, what's the Christmas movie? What are we seeing? And I said, Fiddler on the Roof. So we go to the movie, and no, I don't want anybody here to jump to conclusions. We didn't sneak into the movie. Kids gotta learn that on their own, okay? And we're watching the movie, and it's packed. And I'm like, this is just a magical experience. It wasn't just Jewish people, it was people of all backgrounds. Because on Christmas Day, when people have the day off, by the end of the day, they want to get away from their families, And I was just grateful to be able to share that with my kids. And then we had the pandemic. Terrible, terrible thing, of course. And we're isolated, and movies were, on TV, if at all. The movie theaters closed. And then a year or two later, the movie theaters reopened. And there was a gift from the movie gods, for me at least, and for many others. A re-release of The Godfather in a theater that weekend. And this was special to me. So I kind of went over the top with it, all right? I went to a grocery store, got a gigantic loaf of Italian bread, Italian meats and cheeses, giardiniera, spinach, and a whole lot of olive oil. Because the Corleones, they were in the olive oil business before they found a more lucrative enterprise. You're not supposed to bring food into a movie theater, but I hid it under my coat. And I go in, and it was just fantastic. And I felt I was sharing it with all of my movie buddies, most of whom I had seen the movie with. My brothers, my friend Rich, Mike, my cousin Richie, and many others. And it was actually more poignant than I remembered it. Yes, people talk about Sonny being killed at the toll booth, or the horse's head in the bed, which that actually never happened to me. But it was also that scene at the end when Michael Corleone is talking to his father at the end of his life, and it just kind of moved me. So I left the theater, and I was thinking about storytelling, about movies, about my movie buddies, and I felt that the movies had affected all of our senses, and even our taste and smell. And I guess I felt that because my shirt was covered in olive oil. But then I was reminded of that quote from The Godfather that I hope everyone knows, which I feel about the movies, the people I tell stories with, the storytellers. And that quote is, "They made me an offer I can't refuse." Thank you.